Hey, what's going on? We want to talk a little bit about that proverb, be in the world but not of the world. Be in the world but not of the world. What does that mean anyway? I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. Um, like people might say something to the effect of you have to have a godly mentality as opposed to a carnal mind or something like that, because it also says in a book you must be transformed by the renewing of your mind. But that still doesn't really uh, drive home the point to me, because oftentimes what I see is people trying to renew their minds by way of, I guess, reading inspirational literature, going to church, trying to force themselves to think positive when they have negative mentalities, that kind of thing. And a lot of it is just basically spinning your psychological wheels. But I thought about it for a little bit, and it's like it means to me to be a resident, to be a resident of this world without becoming a fixture. Yeah, without becoming a fixture. Like I live in this house, and I'm a resident of this house, but I'm not a fixture, meaning I didn't come with the house. I'm not a permanent part of the house. I just live here. And if you look, I'm gonna tilt this camera up a little bit. Like you can see on the ceiling, you see that little white gizmo. That's a smoke detector. That's a fixture. I mean, it stays there. You know, I've changed the batteries a few times and whatnot, but it's a fixture. Like there's a lamp over my head that's secured to the ceiling. Right over here to my left, there's a electrical outlet, that kind of thing. You probably have fixtures, no doubt. You do have fixtures in your own house or apartment. Things like a ceiling fan, that kind of stuff. I mean, even furniture. Although furniture can be moved around, it's still fixtures. I mean, when you leave your house to go to work or the store, wherever you go, you don't take your sofa with you or your bed or that kind of thing. I mean, you might not live in a tent, but even mobile furniture are fixtures of your house. You're not a fixture, you're a resident. And I think it's kind of like that, what that verse means. Be in the world but not of it. Be a resident, not a fixture. Because the truth of the matter is you're here. You live here in whatever capacity you live here, you're here. So while you're here, I mean, you really don't have no choice but to be a resident. But being a fixture is optional. You can choose to be a fixture, and I think that's why so many people are so, how can I say it, are so at each other's throats, are so depressed, so angry at the world, so mad at their circumstances. They're becoming fixtures. They're becoming mentally and spiritually integrated into the world. Yeah, they're becoming integrated into the world. And when you become a fixture of the world, the more solidified you become into the world, the more secure, like you can imagine a carpenter or somebody, or screwing a fixture into a wall, and he's screwing in the screw tighter and tighter and making it more and more secure, the fixture, to where it can't move, it can barely move, to where it'll be permanent unless the house gets torn down or something like that. But people are becoming fixtures into this world, and they're hating it. And if you think about it, I guess they should hate it. Hatred is kind of like a type of resistance. People are resisting by way of hating this world. They're resisting the world because they don't want to be a fixture of this world. But hatred is the wrong way to resist. Hatred is the way to become more solidly secure and more integrated into this world. But people don't know that because love eludes most people. I mean, feelings of affection do come and go, but that ain't really love. I mean, feelings of affection can come from all other kind of mentalities. So, that's not love, but people are resisting the world the best way they know how, and that's by hating it. But when you really think about that saying, be in the world but not of it, do not be of the world. Why wouldn't you be of the world? Have you ever said to yourself a time or two or more, I don't even think I'm from this world? Have you ever said that to yourself? I know I have on a few occasions. I remember one time making a joke to a coworker, a former coworker, that I thought, shoot, man, this world is so whacked out. Sometimes I wonder if freaking aliens dropped me off and as a punishment of some sort. And I was like, wherever they took me from, I was like, well, please come back and get me. Whatever I did, I'm sorry. Just come back and get me. Good grief. Yeah, I've made jokes like that before. But the book says do not be of the world because you're not from this world. If you've ever thought to yourself, I must not be from this world, you're more than likely you're right. I said more than likely because the Bible does says the serpent has seed. So there are people walking around looking like human beings that really are fixtures, mobile fixtures of this world. Like a mobile fixture would be something like a car, that you can drive around and whatnot. Airplane you can fly around or something like that. But yeah, the serpent has seed too, and they would be like serpent seed would be fixtures of this world, but they would be more mobile fixtures, and they look like human beings too, and people don't recognize them. And that's another sad thing. But if you've ever thought, I must not be from this world, that verse, that Bible verse that tells you not to be of this world, that's a dead giveaway that you're not from this world. And if you're not from this world, then where do you come from? I mean, I guess the easy answer would be, oh, I came from heaven. I came from the bosom of the Lord. I came from the presence of God, what have you. I mean, those are kind of like generic answers. But If you really look at what the Messiah said, he said the kingdom of heaven can be compared to, and this is one of his parables, and you know about it probably more than likely. You've heard the parable of the prodigal son. The kingdom of heaven can be compared to a son who told his father he wanted to go out into the world and he wanted to take his part of the inheritance with him. So he left his father's house to go out into the world. And you know what happened after that. He suffered greatly and he became impoverished and he was starving. And then he finally got the idea, you know what? Forget this. I'm going to get up, go back home to my father's house, which is what he did. And his father, as you know, welcomed him with open arms and whatnot. But that's what he compared the kingdom of God with. And now that raises another question, and this is where it gets a little bit extra strange. People, have you ever been asked, why were you born into this world? A lot of people think to themselves, and I've heard it, I used to think it, I was born into this world to make some kind of contribution to make it a better world. That's why I was born here. Although things didn't work out quite like I wanted it to. Why? Because you got people that are determined to stop you, to block you, to hold you back. I've experienced it. I'm not proud. I've done some bad things in retaliation to other people who did things to me that I didn't like. But that's, neither here nor there. But the deal is this: the prodigal son, he got up and left. Yeah, he just took off. He said, I want to go. And could it be that we made a choice? I mean, the Messiah did say, this is what the kingdom of God can be compared to: a son that left his father's house. And apparently, the way it all transpired, the father didn't send him, didn't want him to go, really. If you really look at the content of the story, he didn't want him to go. They waited on him to come back. It's as if he shouldn't have went. You know, at first I thought that particular story can be compared to the Messiah's journey. Kind of, sort of, it can, but if you really think about it, the Messiah came for a specific reason to show the people who left the Father's house how to get back. He really didn't come to edify the world like people think. Remember, in the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 51, he said, I didn't come to bring peace on earth. That's the mission most people imposed upon him. But he said why he came. And he did what he had to do. He got crucified, of course, because the world resented him wanting to show people the way back home to the Father's house. The world resented him for that, and they crucified him. Nevertheless, he did accomplish his mission. So, could it be that we decided to just get up and leave like runaway children, and that's why we were born here? It's kind of like what it implies. Because if you think about it, and here's another part, it's kind of scary. What if the prodigal son would have said, I'm just going to wait here for somebody to come get me and take me home? He would have died where, away from his father's house. And that would have been pretty much the end of that. No happy ending, no heaven. Had he not just came to his senses and decided to get back up and go home, the fact that he was declining in more poverty, depression, contemplating stealing pig food, eating slop, basically, contemplating eating pig food, shows that he was becoming a fixture of the world. He was going to be, at some point, first mentally integrated into the world, and then had he actually died there, physical, he would have been physically integrated into the world, like what happened with Adam, who went back to the dust of the earth. That just says Adam, because of his disobedience, went back fully integrated into the world. Was Adam the first to lead a household? Hmm, could be. I'm thinking he was. But be careful. I mean, certain signs of being integrated into the world is like you try to give yourself a reason to be here, you know? Like you say to yourself, oh, I'm blessed. I woke up another day, but you're back here in the pigsty in this wild and wacky world that's really cursed because God called this world cursed after the man in the book of Genesis was driven out of the garden and away from the presence of God. So I don't know if it's really a blessing to wake up in a cursed world. I don't know what anybody think they're going to do to make this world a better place. I mean, I get the ideal. I get the fantasy. I get people really do, well, some people at least really do want a better world. But that being said, the world don't want to be better, which is why it's been heading in a certain spiritual direction that's let's just say it's headed to a very dark place. And you know, if you think about it, people want to be here no matter how bad things get. They have reasons to keep themselves here, reasons to stay and become more solidified, more integrated. And then a lot of it has to do with family. I know a lot of people, they'll be like, I got to be here for my kids. And, that's probably, if there is a legitimate reason, that's probably the best legitimate reason. But it also implies that there's a nervousness that, you know, a lack of trust that God, they'll be in good hands, that God will see them through. Or maybe it's just an excuse because people really don't want to die from this world. They really don't. And when somebody does die that maybe they're close to, emotionally attached to, and they cry and wail, and there's weeping and gnashing of teeth and that kind of thing. They didn't want them to go. They wanted those people to stay here in this cursed world, and they don't really even see that as being selfish. They see it as love. And we all know that this world is made of dust. Everything, even this gizmo that I'm using to record this video, it's made of dust. Our bodies are dust. It's not permanent. And wanting to keep dust permanent is a good sign of being in the world. That's a sign that mentally you're progressive, being progressively becoming, you're progressively becoming a fixture as opposed to just, a resident wanting to stay here, wanting to remain here, wanting other people to remain here. That's a sign of being a fixture. Now, I just said the seed of the serpent are fixtures, but because of the seed of the serpent, people who are not fixtures believe themselves to be fixtures, which is why they share certain satanic philosophies like the serpent and the serpent seed, and they don't even understand what they're doing themselves. It's it's quite a pickle we got ourselves into. But I guess the thing is to understand how to disintegrate yourself from this world. You have to disintegrate yourself. Disintegrate. That means destruction, huh? Who wants to be destroyed? And I ain't talking about that kind of destroyed. I ain't talking about suicide. Suicide is the most fastest way to integrate yourself into this world, to be a fixture, a permanent fixture of the world. Suicide is the easiest way to do it. No, I'm not talking about that. It's like it says in a book, a change of mind and heart, a real change, understanding how to do it, how to disintegrate yourself from this world. And what that means is basically the destruction of your carnal mind, the mind that thinks to itself, oh, I got to be here. I can't go nowhere. This Sunday coming up, I got to do a solo in the church. I got to be here. I got to show up and show out. I can't let nobody down. That kind of thing. No offense. If you're a church faring person, no offense. But even the church promotes those kind of mentalities, those fixture mentalities. We need to learn how to get away from that. It's not giving up on the world. I mean, you can't give up on dust anyway. That's an illusion. It's not giving up on the world. What you're doing is preparing yourself to get up and go back to your father's house. But that being said, I want to thank you for listening. I hope you're doing well as can be. Subscribe to this channel. God bless you.